Although the Malacca Strait is only a few hundred miles long, experts warn that if a natural calamity occurs nearby, the repercussions might be globally. The Malacca Strait, which connects the Indian and Pacific Oceans, is a small marine passageway through which about 90,000 ships pass each year. 40% of all trade is thought to be made up of their cargo, which includes grain, crude oil, and every other commodity known to man. One of the busiest trade routes in the world runs above these ships, and below them, along the seafloor, lies a thick network of underwater internet cables that power the internet. These elements work together to make the Malacca Strait one of the most important economic arteries in the world. The World Trade Organization, the US Energy Information Administration, and the London-based think tank Chatham House have all identified it as a trade choke point in their respective reports. It's only a matter of time before a natural calamity like an earthquake or volcano strikes the area. And when it happens, we may expect worldwide repercussions. Experts say it is commonly known that criminal activity or human error can cause important commerce channels to be disrupted. Although piracy has historically plagued the region, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore work together to jointly patrol the strait and keep things under control. The USS John McCain collided with a tanker sailing under the Liberian flag in 2017, resulting in the deaths of 10 American sailors. Nevertheless, ship collisions are common here. However, at 1.7 miles (2.7 kilometers) at its narrowest, the strait is not sufficiently narrow to be closed by a straying container ship, as the Suez Canal was in 2021 by the 400 meters (1,312 feet) ever given. The natural environment poses the biggest threats to the Malacca Strait, which divides the Malay Peninsula from the Indonesian island of Sumatra. The map of recent earthquakes and active volcanoes in the world is among the region's many fascinating maps of activity, and it is the most striking. There is a band of seismic activity and a number of volcanoes along Sumatra's coast and the more southern region of Java, which follow the path of the Sunda Trench. Recent eruptions of the Semeru and Merapi volcanoes on the island of Java. Krakatau is located in the Sunda Strait, which separates Java from Sumatra, while Tambora is located to the east. Tambora's eruption in 1815 resulted in crop failure over much of the world, including eastern United States and Europe. On a logarithmic scale from VEI7 to VEI8, the Tambora eruption was classified as a VEI7 volcanic explosion. Perhaps once or twice every millennium, an event like 1815 takes place. However, if it occurred at one of the volcanoes closer to the Malacca Strait, an eruption need not be of quite such a large magnitude to cause serious issues at a worldwide choke point. The impacts of scenarios containing a VEI6 eruption at Merapi were considered by researchers at the University of Cambridge Centre for Risk Studies in 2018. According to their hypothesis, the eruption might result in fine tephra, or rock pieces propelled into the air, and ash clouds that could travel across the Malacca Strait to Singapore and Malaysia, inflicting $2.51 trillion in losses on the global economy over a 5-year period is predicted as a result of the harm to local supply chains and infrastructure that would result, with aviation being particularly heavily affected. The projected $5 billion lost to the world economy as a result of the Eyjafjallajökull VEI4 eruption in Iceland is dwarfed by the sum. In 2010, Merapi experienced a VEI4 eruption. It is less likely that Merapi will see a VEI6 eruption because of its 750-year return period, or the amount of time that passes between eruptions on average. However, Lara Moni, a volcanologist at the Center for the Study of Existential Risk at the University of Cambridge, argues that the risks are significant enough to warrant considering the scenario seriously. Also present in the area are a number of active volcanoes, including Merapi. Moni notes that VEI4, VEI5, and VEI6 eruptions can still really disrupt the strait, and that a volcano's eruption does not always indicate when it will end. Consider the possibility that one of these active volcanoes, such as Semeru on Java in Indonesia, would experience a VEI5 or VEI6 eruption. The crater is bursting with magma. Ash emits a cloud of ash. The nearby towns are trembling. In the Malacca Strait, all aviation travel is prohibited when the wind is from the southwest. The strait itself receives the ash. Pumice rafts build up on the ocean's surface. A comparable threat would exist from a large earthquake that happened close. As it occurred on Boxing Day in 2004, it might bring forth a tsunami that would reach the strait. Turbidity currents, which tear across the seafloor, are clouds of quickly moving, agitated silt. Moni states that this is often how cables are severed. Turbidity currents were the ones that severed the cables, causing a regional internet blackout, and the ones that buried those cables, making their recovery even harder in the Tonga eruption. The VEI5 eruption of Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai in January 2022. On the other hand, according to Tristan Smith of University College London, these natural calamities would have less of an impact on international shipping than the Ever Given did. A tsunami is more harmful for humans on land, where it breaks and is at its greatest, than it is at sea. According to Smith, a shipping expert at his university's energy center, he also believes that ships' machinery should be equipped to handle ash. Likewise, a presumed exclusion zone would be established in the event of an eruption, requiring ships to use another path. According to experts, the rerouting of ships would have an impact on international trade, but the system should eventually be able to handle it. If a ship is delayed by 3 days due to having to travel a long distance around Indonesia, all that ship needs to do is increase its speed by 1 or 2 knots to make up for that delay. The planes being grounded would still be a problem. Millions of people experienced inconvenience as a result of the 6-day airspace ban that followed AFI at Lacau eruption. It would be even worse if those cables were severed, because chaos would ensue in the economy. Our submarine cables are susceptible, and there have been incidents throughout the years. Trillions of dollars are transported through those cables every single day, and that basically props up our financial markets. An expert explains, there is just one cable connecting Hong Kong to the rest of the world as a result of numerous submarine internet cables being broken by an earthquake near Taiwan in 2006. Imagine Hong Kong and the rest of the region going without power for 45 days while the other lines were repaired. It was fortunate that one of them managed to survive, not only for Hong Kong but also for the rest of the world. It would have been devastating. Similar to Singapore, Hong Kong is a financial center whose actual absence would devastate the global economy. An analyst adds of the cables, we just don't have redundancy. If something goes wrong, there aren't any replacements to pick up the slack. And just around 3% of the world's communication can now be handled by our satellites. Therefore, how can the strait be made less dangerous? Earthquakes cannot be prevented by anything we can do. The Worldwide Navigational Warning Service is an existent service that alerts marine shipping of meteorological or geological disasters. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission and UNESCO have established early warning systems for calamities like tsunami. The Strait of Malacca region is assigned to the Japanese Coast Guard as its coordinator. If we could control the magma beneath volcanoes, we might be able to prevent eruptions in the future. However, such a day is still many years away. For the time being, we need to become better at both recognizing and monitoring volcanoes, as even a few hours' notice of an eruption makes a significant impact. Having said that, what do you think of this episode? Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world. And don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.